Politics are far too polarizing. Uh, is it? Yes, I think so, but I think it is polarizing in the wrong way. I think that it's yeah, in the sense that you're either on the left or on the right. There's in a lot of people's minds. Yeah, there's a black and white us them situation going on, and that's like the populism problem, right? And so like you need a politician that you need a couple of politicians that are able to do the middle ground thing and are able to communicate their ideas, whatever their personal position is. They need to be able to take that, put it on the shelf, and say, all right, but how do I communicate with this other person to get done what I want to get done. And that's where I think currently Mark Carney is falling, and I think that's why he's rubbing like more leftist people. He's rubbing them the wrong way, and why some conservatives are willing to cross the cross the floor. Because if you look at polls, like if you look at like standardized polling that is about a topic as opposed to a political party, you will notice that a lot of people. So like, for example, Pierre Poilievre, the stuff that he complains about in his rhetoric is not founded on nothing. Wage gap, high prices, housing crisis, groceries being too expensive, yada yada yada, down the line. Da, 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 da. These are legitimate complaints. The people doing the Alberta referendum bullshit have legitimate complaints. Yeah, they are genuine issues. And they're genuine issues that, whether you're on the left or the right, whether you're a liberal, NDP, Green, Bloc, Conservative, the average person will agree. What my issue, I don't disagree with Pierre Poilievre on that those things are issues. My disagreement with Pierre Poilievre comes from his solutions don't make any fucking sense logistically. And so there's not and some stuff he says is just bullshit. And that's basically, I treat everybody that way. Right? And and that's why identifying a problem helps you find out what the solution is. So it's hard to vote, for example, I've talked about this with a client, a climate change, well, I guess that's not, a meteorologist. I had her on and we talked about politics a little bit and what it meant for climate change stuff and what it meant for data getting deleted and yada 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 yada. And I had my problem with Pierre is his initials are PP. Yeah, well, valid. I had this conversation and we came to the conclusion of it doesn't really matter whether or not your politician believes that climate change is real or not. What matters is this politician going to recognize that fires are happening at a larger, more intense rate and going to do something to protect you, your property, your family, etc. So they're less likely to do something if they're running the rhetoric that climate change is fake. But if they're still going to do that, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what they believe, one way or another. However, it is important to note that if you don't know what a problem is, your solutions are going to be a little bit more shot in the dark than they are going to be efficient and effective and be of higher quality. Right? So if you have a politician in your local area who doesn't think climate change is real, but is very much like these fires are happening and we need to do something about this, then you might want to vote for that person, regardless of whether or not they think the cause is, because they're going to be reactive. But you have to then make a decision about whether or not you want to pick somebody who's going to be reactive or somebody who's going to be proactive. Somebody who's proactive is going to be somebody who's going to likely know what the cause of the problem is and then know how to fix it. Because if you don't know and you're just reacting to the problem itself, all you're ever going to be able to do is preventative after the fact shit. You're not going to be able to do something preventative. And you need to be able to do both. And that's what you want. Ideally, in a politician, you want somebody who can do both. Somebody who can react to a crisis and react to an issue, and then fucking and then be like, okay, well, now that we've figured out what the fucking problem is, now we can know how to prevent it in the future from happening, right? You want somebody who can do both. But sometimes the person who believes climate change won't be able to be reactive, and sometimes the person who doesn't believe in climate change won't be able to be proactive. Right? So you want those. Are these fires happening because this is the hottest year to date? Fires happen for a lot of reasons. Heat is a factor, but like there's lots of other reasons. Drought, not enough water. There's lots of like what causes a forest fire. They don't have enough rakes in Parks and Rec. Get out and rake the leaves, guys. There's lots of reasons why there would be fires, right? But what we should be all able to be able to agree on, right? What Low Gardner is talking about. What should we be able to agree on? There's fires. Period. End of sentence. There are fires. Right? We can all acknowledge that there are fires, right? Fires, yes. Fires, yes. The fires in California, fires in Quebec, fires in Alberta. There's fires. Shit's on fire. Right? So what are you going to do about it? If heat was the problem, if heat caused fires by itself as a factor, the desert would be on fire all the fucking time. And it's not. Yeah, precipitation matters. Well, if I don't know why there are more fires, then just doing something isn't a solution. No, it's not a preventative solution. It's a reactive solution. Do you have a reactive solution to there being a fire? Of course you do. You can think of one right now, I guarantee you. Give me what. There's a fire, what do you do about it? You don't know what caused the fire yet. You just know that there's a fire. Get rid of oxygen. Yeah, that's a solution. Put out the fire. No, feline. That's preventative. That making more fire break areas are not to contain the fire spread. Ah, there you go. There you go. There you go. You got it. That's more preventative, but you're right. You're right. Right? I guarantee you can think of a solution of the if there's a fire in front of you. So, but you acknowledge the fire exists. So I think the fire exists, you think the fire exists, the fire is currently there, what do we do about it? Well, we put the fire out, right? We put the fire out, and then we go, well, shit, that was a whole lot of property damage. And now there's a whole lot of people that are out of sorts. And there's no question about that, right? We agree that there are now people who have had their property damaged or their homes burned down. Right? Well, follow me. Don't get lost, Jumbo. Hey. Hold on. Let me get my keys. Don't get distracted. Don't jump ahead. We're focusing on what we agree on, right? We're gonna go one step at a time. We agree that there's fires. We agree that the fire should be put out. We proceed to put out the fire. All right? We're on step 4 now. We now understand that there are people whose property has been damaged. Some people have died. There's a lot of cleanup that needs to get done. And there's a lot of money that needs to go into doing something about it, right? Whether that be insurance, whether that be like packages, whether that be help to like feeding people, yada yada yada. It's okay. Walk with me on this. Walk with me through this exercise, right? So we still don't know what caused the fire. Right? We still don't know. Enjoy your lurk, Dapper. We still don't know what caused the fire. Presumably, if he's lurking, if I say something horribly wrong, he'll come back like that and be like, "Bitch, the fuck did you just say?" Right? So what do we do about all these people? Are we gonna like what do we do? We get medical workers. Do we get stuff rebuild? Do we put money into emergency services? Do we like those are things that we can do. These are reactive things. We all agree that these people have been harmed through this emergency of this fire that happened, because we agree that the fire happened. Still, we agree that these people need help, right? And these people should get help, right? Like did they cause the fire? Maybe they did. We don't know yet. Jumbo, stop trying to guess. Stop trying to guess and participate in the conversation. This is what we mean when we say politics are polarizing. Stop trying to guess and participate in what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying instead of guessing about what I'm going to say or what you think I think. Thoughts and prayers! Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. So you can see why not knowing what caused the fire doesn't mean there's nothing you can do about the fire that existed, and doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge that the fire exists. Doesn't mean you do nothing, right? So you have to, when you're voting for a politician, you have to pick between one or the other. Do you want somebody who's going to be, well, I mean, you don't have to pick between one or the other. You want to pick somebody who can do both. So then you go, all right, well, we've put out the fire and we've dealt with the homeless people, yada, da, 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 da. So what do we do to prevent the fire? Are there things we can do to prevent a fire without knowing what caused said fire? Jumbo. Do I need to break my questions out? I think we might need to break my questions out. We might need, oh, I left my oats here from yesterday. Pray to the sun god. That is something. Is that going to be effective? Maybe. Investigate? Research? Ooh, those are options. We could investigate into what caused the fire. That is a resource that we could use. As we learned during the pandemic, if something doesn't work 100%, it's not worth doing. Improvement isn't worth anything unless it's a total fix. I learned that from the Freedom Convoy. Feline, what's the name of that? What's the name of that? Is that it's not a fallacy. It's a, what is the name of that? The Nirvana? Is it the Nirvana fallacy? If something's not perfect, it's not worth having. If we can all agree that the fire exists, whether we agree or disagree about the cause of the fire doesn't prevent us from putting the fire out. It doesn't prevent us from dealing with the consequences of the fire. And it doesn't prevent us from doing preventative things to stop a fire from happening in the first place. Right? You can do all three of these things, whether or not you agree or disagree that climate change is a thing. We do not have to argue about whether or not climate change exists. Or what the cause of it is. Climate change is a global issue. That is not a conversation at it's not really a conversation at the city level, like your city to city. There are things, like if your city is more likely to get into trouble because of a fire and because of its location, then there are things that your city might need to do more than another city. Right? For example. But we don't need to get into these nonsensical arguments that don't matter. At no point have I said that people fucking, well, Jumbo, this is the problem. This is what I'm pointing out. We're not talking about climate change. At all. I didn't say climate change caused the fire. I didn't say climate change didn't cause fire. I didn't say that climate change is one thing or another. I didn't say whether or not I thought climate change was real. I'm saying that it doesn't matter. Can I be specific? You mean more specific? How do I be more specific? I don't know how to be more specific than you don't need to agree on the cause of a problem to find solutions and solve the other problems caused by said problem. You can be reactive and proactive. You can do both things without agreeing on the initial cause of said thing. I don't know how to be more fucking specific. It's like talking to a fucking wall, my guy. It's like pulling teeth. What? What are you even arguing about? So you agree with me? Can you complain to YouTube about their chat censors? Yeah. YouTube chat censor is annoying. You are talking about a different problem. I am not talking about literal fires and literal fire prevention. I am using fires as an example to talk about a different issue. Which you're demonstrating actually quite well. You're getting caught up in nonsense for the sake of arguing about a point nobody was making. You can't stab an orc in the back in chat? That's unfortunate. Jumbo, can I ask you a question? Can you tell me what can you tell me what one but you agreed with my point. You agreed with me. What? Jumbo's agreeing with me and then complaining that I'm not making a point, even though they agree with my point. Jumbo's doing that thing where they're just here to argue and not actually able to have a conversation like an adult. I have a question. Can you tell me what is 5% of 20%? You can use 100 as a base. All right, so can you tell me how if you pay taxes, right? Transfer that into dollars. Right? If you pay $1,000, if you get paid $1,000 and you get taxed 20% on 1,000, and then you get a tax cut of 5% of 20, how much money are you getting? If you get paid $1,000 and you get taxed at 20% on that 1,000, and you get a tax cut of 5% on that 20%, how much money are you saving? How much of a tax cut did you get? How much money is the total? It's okay, I'll wait. Okay, now how many $50 do you need for a down payment on a house? If you just save that total amount every time, assuming you have nothing else to put it to, how long will that take? You need a minimum of 20 grand. Really, it should be 30, but let's call it 20. I'll answer what the reason I'm asking this question is when we're done the exercise. I don't think they ever got past C-spot run spot run. Oh, that's not very nice. Do I need to put the timer up? I have a timer. I can put the timer up. Although I have to admit, I do appreciate that Jumbo won what? 20% of 1,000 is 200. 5% of 200 is not 50. Correct. Can I tell them? Yeah, Orange Dot. You explain it. Go for it. You tell them. Do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. You got this. I appreciate stuff like this because it's very rare that when I'm making a point, somebody comes and swings in and makes the gives me an exact example of exactly the problem I'm talking about. You see how Jumbo is getting fucking nowhere? No, you don't only pay 15% tax. No. It's 5% of 20%. 5% of 20%. Not 5% off 20%. 5% of 20%. I believe in you. There you go. There you go. Orange got it. There you go. So how many? So it's 10. So how many $10 do you? No, it's not a word game. It is a mathematical equation. There's a big difference between plus and minus. That's not a word game. They're different functions. You got it right the first time and then got lost in the translation when it got to large numbers, when you started applying the math. You got the math correct and then you weren't able to apply it. It's okay, everybody makes mistakes. Don't worry about it. So now tell me, how many, if you save that $10 every paycheck and you get 2 paychecks a month, how many months or years will it take for you to have enough down payment for a house? I don't know, you tell me. Yeah, if you need $20,000 for a down payment, how long is it going to take you to save that? Yeah, no worries. It's okay. I also understand that I'm on stream and talking and you're typing, so there's a delay here. To be fair, PP did use a word game to make it seem like his policy was better than it was. Yes, this is true. That's the reason why this question even exists. If Sally has 7 apples, blah, 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 blah. So the answer was saying you're going from $10 and you need 20K. Yes, you get 2 paychecks a month and you're saving that $10. So assuming you don't have anything else that you need to spend money on, you get that $10. How long does it take? Yeah. It's important that we don't disparage people who don't understand or simply disagree with us, because you don't win people over with your ideas and opinions by insulting or refusing to listen to them. The alternative to battling with ideas is battling with bloodshed. Yeah, I mean, I know that Jumbo is in here not to have a conversation. He's in here to give me a hard time. But I don't necessarily want to do that back, right? Yeah, so 1,000 months. So how many years is that? 83 and a third year. So 83 years. Yeah, no worries. I know it's a bit of an exercise, but we have to go step by step, because if we don't go step by step, if I just say the answer at the end, it's going to be very confusing. Do you think, and this is a question for everybody in the chat, guys, do you think that the pricing of housing will change in 83 years? It'll go up, it'll go down. Do you think it will change at all? Yes or no? Yeah, Y in the chat for yes, and in the chat for no. Yes or no? Hey, EMP, welcome. Yes. Turtle. I'm taking turtles as yes. You think it'll go up? So if you get a tax cut of 5% on 20% and you save $10, do you think that is an effective way to help people buy houses if it will take them 83, nearly 84 years to save up the amount of money? Do you think that this is an effective tax cut to solve housing? 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. Yeah, if you were to like double the amount. $2,000 a month is actually pretty solid. Like it's a pretty good median for Canada. Because like it's $2,000 after all of your other expenses, right? 2, it's not effective. I did, Sable. I used those numbers. I just didn't break down that math. You could get a more exact equation if you wanted to, but it doesn't matter for the sake of argument. 2, 2, 2, 2. Oh, if you get 5% instead of 1%? Yeah, even if you got like 5% off of 20%. Or you mean you got like, yeah, sorry, I know what you mean. 2, 2, 2, 2. We all agree that there's a problem with housing, right? And people can't afford housing. We all agree that that's a problem, right? We don't have to agree with what the cause of the problem is, but we can identify whether or not a policy is going to be effective based on the math. Do you understand the point? Even if we don't change the inflation rate for housing, it's still going to take somebody 80 years if we change nothing and just do that policy and there is no inflation or deflation or they balance out. It would take 80 plus years to save that amount. That's not a solution. That's not going to help your fucking millennials buying houses. That's not going to help your Gen Z. That's not going to help your Gen Alpha. That's not even going to help your Gen Xers that aren't buying houses right now. So there's a difference between something that is not perfect and something that is not functional. Right? So we can not discuss the cause of the housing crisis whatsoever and say, well, if this is a solution that's being presented, and it was, this is a solution, this is an actual solution that was brought forward by the Conservative Party in Canada to help with the fucking housing crisis, we can tell that this is not going to be a functional, useful solution for anybody. It's not going to help anybody at all. Unless you're making already crazy amounts of money. And in which case, this doesn't really change one thing or another for you regardless. So if you're making like billions of dollars, then yeah, 1% on a 20% tax, as if these people are paying. The people that make that much money are paying taxes, let's be real. What? What? Sorry, let me read out what Jumbo said. Jumbo said, this is like having a hole in your ship and you showing up, noticing you're sinking, and then saying it doesn't matter why we are sinking. Let's just figure out how to get the water out. I mean, both are valuable, but one might be more important and easy to fix than the other. You're so close. You're so close. You're so close. You're right there. You're right there. Correct, and then Polyev is coming up with a way to get the water out with using a thimble. Yeah, there you go. Like you're right there, my guy. You're right there. You basically got it figured out. Now it's just about you figured out the concept. Now apply it. He's right there. Hey, if we need all these scientists, hospital staff, and engineers, maybe education shouldn't require a loan that takes 60 years to pay back. That'd be socialism. Yeah, right. How do you fix the hole properly without preparing for that to happen ahead of time? Well, the thing is like if you want to use the sinking ship example, which I think is like the sinking ship example is fine. Like that's a fine analogy, but you don't want to get caught up in the nitty gritty, right? So if because the hypothetical isn't the point. The point is the overarching concept. The overarching concept is yes, you need to do both. Some ships have holes in them. There's drain holes in ships. Right, so like if you I don't know how much time you guys have ever spent like on a boat on a lake, like a lake-sized boat, not like a yacht, not like a fighter, not a submarine, but like just a boat that you would put on a lake. That's like 15 feet. There's holes in the boat on purpose because it lets water drain out of the boat when either A, you pull it out of the water, or B, just keeps flow moving. So there are intentional holes in boats. Some of those holes are there for reasons. But if you want to patch a hole in a boat, you generally don't do that while the boat is in the fucking water. You get out of the emergency situation of drowning, and then you drag your boat out of the water, and then you dry it, and then you get the materials, and then you patch the boat before you put it back in the water. But this is what I mean. You're getting caught in the problem and not the concept, right? What we're talking about is the concept, not the fucking nitty gritty of how to fix a boat, right? There's a plug for that hole that you put in before you go out in the lake, though. Yeah, usually. But what if that doesn't get used, or what if it pops out, or what if it doesn't matter, right? We don't need to know we don't necessarily need to know what caused the hole, right? To be able to patch the hole or to be able to deal with the emergency at hand. We don't have to agree about climate change to deal with the emergency that's happening on hand because nobody's not saying there isn't a hole in the boat. Right? People might be arguing whether or not climate change exists, but nobody's saying there isn't a fire. So if we can agree that there is a fire, and we can agree that there is a hole in the boat, and we can agree that there are things that need to be done about said hole in the boat and about said fire, we can then discuss which solutions are going to be effective about fixing the hole or putting out the fire or preventing the fire and preventing holes in the future. All without having the discussion about what caused the hole or what caused the fire. Do you see? Have we reached nirvana? Have we found enlightenment? Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. So we can discuss that maybe draining the ocean is not a viable solution to stop the boat from sinking. And we can also look at things and say maybe it's not a viable solution to use a thimble to bail the boat. Maybe those are not viable solutions that are only going to harm us and aren't going to help in the situation whatsoever and aren't going to do anything preventative. Right? Right? All of this without discussing what caused the hole or blaming anybody for who caused the hole. We are literally having a conversation. What you walked in on was us talking about what we can agree on. We can agree that Pierre Poilievre's math does not math when it comes to his solution for the housing crisis. It's not going to help. It's not going to be effective. It doesn't matter what caused the fucking housing crisis. Because there is a lot of things like that have no one singular cause, like a fire. It doesn't matter whether excessive heat caused the fire, which is possible, but not likely. It could be a factor. It doesn't matter if climate change directly caused the fire or indirectly caused the fire or had nothing to do with the fire whatsoever. It could be arson. Yeah, it could be arson. Arson might be the solution. already agreed with me. Okay, so Jumbo disagrees. I disagree completely with the logic. Okay, it is a case to case basis, of course. Yeah, all right, yeah, everything's gonna be situational, everything's contextual. I agree with that. But my logic on any problem, well, now you're taking out the context. You're saying the context doesn't matter. Would be first try to identify the problems, both the water in the ship and the hole. Yeah, we identified that there was a hole in the ship, and it's causing water to be in the ship. And we identified that there was a problem, there was a fire, and we needed to put the fire out. That would be identifying the problem, yes, we agree. Why the hole, and identify the problem, both of the water in the ship and the hole, and why the hole ever happened in the first place. Why do you need to know? Why do you need to know? If you are sinking, your house is on fire. Are you gonna stay in your house while it's on fire and be like, I wonder how this fire started? Or are you gonna fucking leave your house first, put out the fire, and then investigate why it happened so we can prevent it in the future? What do you mean? Like, no, you're not. That's nonsense. Yeah, we've known about climate change since, like, the 60s and 70s. Yeah. We know that it's a problem. We've known it's a problem for a long time. Knowing, like, the scale of the problem has changed. Or, like, our scale in knowledge has changed, but that naturally, of course. My guy, no. You're literally telling me that if you were in a sinking boat, you wouldn't fucking do anything about the boat sinking and would drown before you would come up with a solution to find, because you're too busy thinking about what the hole is. And you're gonna tell me that that's logical. Like, no. No. Absolutely not. Like, that is contrarian nonsense. And I think you know that that's contrarian nonsense. I like entertaining these kinds of conversations, though. Your priorities are, like, fucking ass backwards. My guy is gonna burn down in his house because he's like, was it a candle that got knocked over? Was it arson? Was my house too hot? Did I have the heating up too high? Checking a temperature gauge that's not working because it was an electrical fire. If the hole was caused by our torpedo, you may take evasive action while trying to patch the hole instead of just patching the hole. Yeah, valid. It's almost like there's more than one person that can do more than one job at a time. I once knocked over an oil lamp. It didn't start a fire. Oh. You can multitask, my guy. If we want to, like, expound upon this scenario. Again, you're stuck in the scenario and not the applicable logic. Like, not the applicable fucking, logic is the right word, but not, like, that's not the word I'm looking for. Concept. Yeah, nobody's saying you can't multitask. You can do more than one thing. For example, if you want to invest in green energy, that doesn't mean don't build a pipeline. Right? If you want to invest in green energy and you want to have more green energy and you want to shift a country from using oil and coal and gas into using wind and solar and hydropower, like water power, that doesn't mean you just immediately shut down all of the fucking oil refineries. Right? Because you still need power between point A and point B. You can't just turn everything off and then just have everything off while you try to build these new things with nothing on. You need to utilize what you have and the resources you have now to build the resources you're going to have there, so then you can slowly stop using this as much. And it doesn't mean never use it again ever for anything. What are these extremes that people are talking about all the time? That's exactly what Lo Gardner and I were talking about earlier, where it's like people are doing this like this false dichotomy nonsense. It's absolutely nonsensical to say that you can't investigate a fire after the fact, or you can't investigate after the fire is out. Yeah, you can still investigate the fire while it's ongoing, but that's kind of dangerous, so you maybe want to prioritize a little bit, right? Same with the boat. the boat sinking, maybe you can investigate that, and it's going to take one glance to the side on your radar when you're a battle cruiser to be like, oh, there's a hole in my boat because fucking somebody blew a hole in my... Stop blowing holes in my ship! Like... That's an analogy. So it's like you need to take the concept, which you understood. He got the concept. He just doesn't think he agrees with the logic of the concept. But he hasn't exactly demonstrated how it's wrong or why he disagrees.
Uh-oh, how unfortunate.
Feline said, 1, tackle the immediate problem. 2, patch the cause of the immediate problem. 3, find sturdier options that reduce the chance of the problem. 4, research what causes the problem and find mitigating factors. Those can all work in tandem, and they can all work simultaneously. Yes, you can do all of the above. You can do all of the above at the same time when you're talking on a larger scale. Right? If you're talking about an individual versus you're talking about like a corporation, or you're talking about like if your business is hemorrhaging money, knowing why your business is hemorrhaging money is important, but so is making sure you still have enough money floating to keep your shareholders satisfied so you don't go bankrupt. Right? So you have your finance department doing one thing and you have your research and development doing another thing, and these sections are doing their jobs individually and collectively to serve an overall goal for the good of the company. Right? So we don't know why. So, okay, hold on. Let me make sure I read it. Let's talk about my fire analogy. Okay, well, my hypothetical. We don't know why it's happening, and let's ignore that. I didn't say let's ignore it. I didn't say ignore it. That's not what I said. I said that it doesn't matter about what when we're talking about what we can agree on. I don't think you understand the point I was initially making at all. Forget, all right, we got it, guys, back to the drawing board. All right, turn it all off. Turn everything off and turn it back on again, all right? Full stop on the conversation. The man is lost about what even the initial fucking thing was in the first place. Okay. Man, woman, I don't know your life. I'm not your mom. Man, woman, neither. Wipe the slate. Ignore all of the conversation we had before this. In politics, when you are voting for somebody, and or when you want to choose a politician to give your vote to, what they personally believe only has so much importance. You want to vote on somebody who's going to be able to practically deal with problems, and that is independent of what they might personally believe. It might affect what their solutions will look like. It might affect some things down the line, but what we focus on is whether or not somebody agrees or disagrees about the cause of a problem does not mean you cannot find or work on solutions to the problem that everybody agrees is currently happening. So if we all agree that a fire is there is a fire, and fire is happening, we're not in disagreement about there being a fire. So we can focus on that thing we agree on. And then we can then decide collectively, okay, we all agree there's a fire. What do we do about the fire? And there are plenty of different solutions, and some of those solutions you can identify as effective, and some of them will be identified by being ineffective. Right? It's not effective to use a thimble of water. It's not effective to spit on a fire to put it out. Right? It's not effective. So if somebody brings the solution to the table and says, well, why don't we spit on it? Like, that's not that's not really a very good solution. So maybe we pick not that guy. Maybe we pick somebody else that has a better solution to be like, it's like, but now he might argue. He could be like, oh, well, actually, if we got everybody to collectively spit while they're in a helicopter and there's like 10 billion of us and we all spit at the same time, it'll be the equivalent of rain and it'll make things wet at least to prevent the fire from spreading. Like, okay, yeah, but that's insane. That doesn't exactly sound doable or feasible as a solution, so maybe we pick something else. So maybe we pick somebody else to decide what maybe we should be doing. Do you understand? Do you get it? Yeah, no, I salute ye. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. The problem is that we're doing our best with somebody who doesn't want to participate. They don't want a solution. They don't want to move forward in the conversation. They want to be difficult on purpose because they think they disagree with my political takes. Because they're stuck in that us versus them, because they're stuck in that blue versus red, because they're stuck in that political headspace. This is why I have no problem criticizing anybody on the political spectrum based on their behavior and what they're presenting, not based on whether or not they are left or right, and not based on whether or not they're wearing a blue tie or a red tie, or an orange tie, or a green tie, or a purple tie. My country chose the guy who throws liquor on the fire. I mean, yeah, or no tie, or a bow tie, yeah, or a hat, or no hat, or they're bald, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. When people come in here, I don't care what their actual fucking solution, or like their actual fucking like political, where they think they fall on the political spectrum is. It doesn't matter. Are you able to have a conversation? And the answer is no. This guy has been talking in circles for like 30 minutes. Yes, other countries exist. Well, we don't know where Jumbo is from. Jumbo, what country are you in? Don't dox yourself, but like, what country are you? Like, what context are you coming at this from? Oh, they say American? Yeah, fucking course. So an American swings in here, doesn't understand the concept, doesn't understand, like, midway through a conversation, doesn't know what we're talking about, assumes everybody's talking about fucking American shit, and doesn't understand a damn thing about what fucking Canadian politics is like, and then starts throwing around that we don't know what we're talking about. How typically American. This is why nobody likes you. Jumbo is on Twitch. If you look at the screen, you'll see them. And we're talking about Canadian politics, and it's just like, oh, let me just blah 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 blah. Because he thinks that derailing the conversation is like fucking effective or matters, or he thinks he's like it's a high, right? Because like, oh look, you're getting attention from the person on the camera. But like, I don't hate conversations like this because they demonstrate my point. Right? I don't mind taking my time and relaxing and being able to go through this because it's like, no, the conceptual stuff is important, and it's important that other people get that conceptual stuff. It's also important that people experience these kinds of conversations so they can practice and learn for themselves how to navigate these kinds of fucking conversations. Yeah, if the cause is negating the solution, then it's going to be a whole other thing. But all you're doing is moving the goalposts. All you're doing is waffling and moving the goalpost around, and it has absolutely nothing to say about the concept that's actually being discussed. Finagling about a hypothetical example doesn't change the argument, right? The point stands. Stream on Twitch, get Twitch comments. You brought on yourself. You say as a YouTube commenter, as if YouTube's any fucking better. I should have these discussions in League of Legends chat. That'd be fucking good. Jumbo's just right now pigeonholing himself into the fucking concept. He's almost there. It's okay. He's got it. He'll figure it out. Well, there's also things that we haven't discussed in the hypothetical that there are already some solutions put in place. There's already some preventative stuff put in place. So, like, we already have firefighters, for example. You already have the materials on your boat for patching a hole, right? Low gardener out here working so hard. You got this, man. You got this. The $10 is not going to help you buy a house. That $10 is not going to help you at all to buy a house. A country is never in an unsavable state. It depends on what you mean. It depends on how you're defining your terms. Because that is not true depending on what you're talking about. So when you say a country is never an unsavable state, what do you mean by country? $10 in this economy, you can't even buy a good meal. Right, exactly. Exactly. It's not a solution for housing. There has absolutely been regime changes and countries that have fallen and been replaced and structures that have changed hands. And so, like, if you want a good example, Russia. If a country is bleeding money or bleeding people, something like that, once you fix the problems, you'll just be in a weakened state. Oh my god. Pick up a history book. Balkans. Yeah, the Balkans is a good example. Yeah, for sure. In some places, you can't even get coffee for $10. Oh, yeah. My guy, you need to open a history textbook. I'm not saying that flippantly. I actually mean you need to open a history textbook because you don't know what you're talking about. There are lots of like, many a time. What's Russia even doing right now? If Russia takes over Ukraine, is Ukraine still going to be a country? And will it still be the country of Ukraine, or will it just become part of Russia? So then Ukraine got destroyed as a country. And the country doesn't exist anymore. Oh, yeah, or the reverse. Yeah, Auschwitz. Yeah. Yep. You can go the other way. Czechoslovakia, yeah. There's plenty of examples of countries changing hands or. Yeah, Ireland into Northern. Ireland was actually one of the ones I was thinking of as well. Ireland, yeah. Well, a country can expand as well and get larger, right? A country can be gone, a country can come back. Yeah, South Sudan. Yep. Yeah. See? It would be a puppet state. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Renegade is correct. If Russia were to win and take over Ukraine in its totality, then Ukraine would be a puppet state. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but if it did, that's what would be the result. More than likely. But yeah. No, it's what's going on is like if you want to apply the concept that I'm talking about, right? Which seems to be what you're trying to do, and props for that. You need to understand the concept, and you're there. You basically understand the concept. It's just the application of the concept that you're not quite grasping. Jumbo says, I was just saying, if we are talking in terms that we are about to sink, then whatever solution is present can't solve that fact since it sounds inevitable. Well, that's just doomer mentality. Right? Your entire point is that you think that there's a higher there's a value or a higher value priority on knowing what a solution or what the cause of something is because you think then the solution will be more effective. Let me know if I got anything wrong. Hey, Low Energy, what's going on? You didn't understand. Okay, yeah. You tell me and then we'll see if I got it wrong. Guys in the chat, let me know if you think I got it correct or let me know if you think I got it right or wrong. I need more of this in my system. We're playing with crayons. Don't Americanize Canadian politics. Like and share the scream instead. Hell yeah. This is tea. It's just orange pico. I don't know. Tea. Oh, Low Energy asked what my blue drink was yesterday. It's just blue Casaro. Blue. Blue drink. Yeah, it's a solid bottle. I would put a plant in it. I'd like peel this off and put like a plant sticking out the top. That'd be cool. I have a really big Kraken bottle. We can't buy Kraken in Canada anymore. At least there might be coming up with a solution for that. By that I mean the company. Seems more like not wanting to implement a solution because it's inconvenient. Does it? Orange Dot, you're taking off for a bit? Yeah. I love Kraken. We can't get Kraken in Canada right now because it's a United States company. Hey, what's up? Wendy, what's going on? I thought conservatives were the pull yourself up by your bootstraps, personal responsibility people. You seem like you want to blanket cry. Oh. Okay, Jumbo says, I'm gonna make sure I get what Jumbo says correctly, alright? I'm saying identifying all problems is super valuable, and it's potentially more valuable than solving the consequences of those initial problems. You create a cost-benefit analysis to those problems, meaning a problem that causes a lot of damage might have a very simple fix, and then you put it all into a hierarchy based on we gotta focus on this first because cheap solutions end big damage. Nobody was disagreeing about the priorities or whether or not knowing what could happen or the cause of something isn't valuable or useful. Nobody was disagreeing with most of that. And that is addressing, Low Garden's got it. That is addressing that is part of your analysis, right? That is part of what you're deciding to do when you acknowledge that there is a fire. You're having a different conversation than what I'm talking about. If I'm not mistaken, I did say earlier about prioritizing things. About making a decision about what you're going to prioritize. But to prioritize a problem, you need to know there's a problem. What if the ship is a whole and it's on fire? Now what do we do? In my ship example, you instantly said we don't care what the cause of the hole was. Correct, because that's not what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about cost-benefit analysis. I know you're joking. Use the water from the hole to put out the fire. So hook up a fucking hose to the hole and then fucking put your thumb on the other hose end and use that, right? Yeah, it's because you're talking about something different than what I'm discussing. if you want to talk about prioritization and cost-benefit analysis, the answer to that is what we already talked about, which is you have different teams working on different things, right? You deal with the emergency situation in front of you, and your other half of your team goes and works on figuring out what the fuck went on to make sure this doesn't happen. If you want a really good example of this, Chernobyl. Chernobyl is a fantastic example of this, right? So Jumbo, how much do you know about Chernobyl? And what happened? And, like, what they did and how, like... Tell me what you know about Chernobyl. Man, Jumbo caught me in a really good mood today. I'm glad I slept in. If I was having this fucking conversation yesterday when I was already irritated, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I don't have the energy for this. What we're saying is the cause of the fire and the cause of the hole aren't important, and you've just demonstrated that. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't mean it's not valuable information, right? Yeah, sure. Knowing that there is climate change and it affects things and we should do something about it and it is a problem is a discussion. And then there's the discussion about the fire that we're currently have in our backyard. It doesn't matter whether or not the people that are putting through the fucking solution to the fire believe that climate change caused the fire. Knowing the cause is not going to stop the ship from sinking. In their analogy. What if the fire was not caused by climate change? What if it's not? Okay. And? I didn't say it was. There's still a fire. We still have to deal with the fire. So what are we gonna do about it? If a bear shits in the woods, for fuck's sakes, is there bear shit? And is the bear shit causing a problem? You see what I mean by talking in circles? The concept, my guy, the concept. Stop getting stuck in coming up with, like, hypotheticals and the issues within the hypothetical. The hypothetical is there as a demonstration, right? It's just an example. And it's a simplified example. And it's a simplified example on purpose because we're not talking about each individual singular problem. We're talking about the concept. And the concept we're talking about is the fact that we all agree that there's a fire. You're having a whole different conversation. I'm gonna roleplay Chernobyl fire. It wasn't caused by climate change. That sucks. Guess I'll put it out myself. Yes, Jumbo Jack wants to be in the house that is on fire and burn to death. Because he's too busy trying to think about if somebody fucking burned his house down. This is so silly. Alright guys, I have an emergency. I'm running out of tea. And now I need to elect somebody to solve my problem. Give me your best solutions. What's your best solutions? Trying tea made out of, trying a whole different tea. Well, you know. Have you tried no tea? Go to the store and get more. Those are both solutions. Get tea bags and cut them in half. Ugh! That is a solution. That is a solution. I'm running out of tea. What do I do about it? Turn a drug trade in China. Yo, valid. Any other solutions? I'm running out of tea. What are solutions? A tea emergency! Buy more tea. Do I have plants outside? There are plants outside. There is mint outside. Use that and get mint tea. Learn how to make mint tea out of things. Yeah, dry some mint leaves to make more tea. That is a valid solution. Look at what my resources are and utilize those resources. Harvest goosegrass from the garden and use that to make something that tastes like coffee. Get my roommates to go get tea. Try coffee. Valid. These are all valid solutions. Jumbo, can you think of a solution for... Drink booze. Valid. Go to the Asian market. Valid solution. Drink beer. Oh, you know me too well. My real solution. Send my roommate to go get beer for me to drink. I'm out of tea. I'm running out of tea. I need a solution. Need to go to the Asian market and get soju. I do need to get soju. Dapper's right. See, I told you if I said something wrong, Dapper would show up. Get soju. Stop being dependent on tea. So stop drinking tea is a solution? Take a nap. I think you'll need to commission a study. You need to know why the tea levels reach this catastrophic level, the best price at which purchasing the tea, and the best vendor from which you acquire it. It might need 3 commissions. I'm so glad you picked up on exactly what I was doing. Jumbo! No, I don't have to drink tea. I don't have to drink tea. So not drinking tea is a solution. Did you just come up with a solution for a problem without knowing the cause of the problem? In fact, you didn't even ask what the cause of the problem was? This scenario is a great analogy of what we're talking about. I need tea now. Plant a tea plant. God. Yes. Not having a tea isn't a problem. It is for me! I want tea. I have no tea. I didn't even say I didn't have any tea. I just said I was running out of tea. I clearly have tea in my cup. But if I have tea in my cup, how could I possibly be running out of tea? I clearly have tea in my hand right now. Yeah, like if we want to then decide on what solution we want to choose, we can do cost-benefit analysis to be like, well, which one do we want to do? Do we need to save money? Then maybe we don't buy more tea. And does that mean we don't drink any tea, or does that mean we shift to a different kind of tea? Yeah, we can absolutely do those things. Can only bring you coffee. The song about our love precludes me getting tea. It's true. Or maybe I can't stop drinking tea, and so your proposal is what? Yeah, correct. That is possible. That is part of the cost-benefit analysis. But you know what you didn't need to know? Why I don't have any tea. Why am I running out of tea? You can solve the immediate solution. Now, if you want to be like, okay, now how do we prevent Chesh from ever running out of tea? And you can say, okay, well, why is she running out of tea in the first place? Oh, well, is it because she's drinking it? Is it because it's gone bad? Is it because other people are drinking her tea? Is it like, what is the cause of like being low on tea? And if the cause is that I'm not like the tea is going bad, then maybe the solution is I buy less amount of tea at a time. Get rid of Chesh. Yeah, there you go. Get rid of me. Then there's always going to be tea. Because then nobody else is drinking the tea is there, problem solved. Right? Maybe I'll never get to the point of running out if somebody orders me tea every month at this amount, right? And so tea is delivered to my door once a month at I don't know, 50 packs. Let's say it's 100. Somebody delivers 100 bags of tea to my door every month, then I'm never gonna be running out of tea. Get a good store tea subscription. Right. So what you're saying is we should get rid of the Earth. Problem solved. Climate change solved. Well, yeah, we could get rid of the Earth. We could go into space and nuke Earth from orbit. Right? Yeah, not every solution is viable. Of course not every solution is viable. The cause we're less likely to agree on rather than the solution. Sure. Boil water, add a slice of lemon, add honey plus ginger. Delicious. You have training. Good luck, Tom. Have a good day. Oh, I just ran out of ginger. I gotta go get more. I do have some lemon ginger tea, though. Build a time machine. Go get a tea plant and plant it in the 1600s. Canada for thriving tea trade. Yeah, save. Yeah, unfortunately that one's not applicable right now. I'm not doing any art, so, but thank you, I appreciate that. Save myself. Yeah, I gotta go get some booze. I gotta go to the bar after this. End the stream while I still can. Get out while we still can. Actually, I think this one has been relatively successful. Whether or not Jumbo ends up agreeing or disagreeing or figuring it out or getting it sorted in his own head right this second or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's okay. He doesn't need to agree with us. He doesn't agree to me. He doesn't agree to... Don't go to the bar, go to the Asian market. Okay, yeah, you're right. There's no problem with Jumbo disagreeing. His logic for why he's disagreeing is nonsense, because it sounds like he's just trying to nitpick his way to still disagree when he actually agrees. If you've noticed some of the examples he's been giving. And that's fine. Sorry, I keep saying he. I don't know your gender. They. So... Quick save your current cup of tea. Then next time you're thirsty, just press F9 to quick load and drink it again. Brother! Start the East India Company.